And we are live. Well, welcome, welcome. Thank you all for joining me today. I'm Debra Eckerling. I'm the author of Your Goal Guide, a roadmap for setting, planning, and achieving your goals, and founder of the Deb Method. And I am so thrilled today. So you're watching Goal Chat Live. Every Sunday night, I lead the Goal Chat Twitter chat where we share wins and where we share wins and goals, and then we talk about the week's special topic. And then on Monday for Goal Chat Live, I do a deeper dive with a special guest. And I'm so excited about today's guest. So we have Angela Shanté, and I was telling you right before we went online, I've known Angela for a few months now. We're both on the board of the Women's National Book Association LA chapter, but this is the first time we've had like a conversation, and you all get to watch. So amazing. And we're talking about balance today. And so Angela is an entrepreneur, an author, an educator, and like a half a dozen other things. And thank you and welcome. And why don't you introduce yourself a little bit better?
Sure. So I am Angela Shanté Johnson. I write under the pen name of Angela Shanté. I am a teacher. I'm out of the classroom now, but I still work as an educational support and educational advocate. I do a lot of consulting. I'm a poet, writer, a bunch of other things. I have a podcast. I have 3 businesses. I'm just a full-time creative.
And so why so much? I was going to say, why so many things? But this is me talking, so I really can't ask that question because people say, hey, Deb, what do you do? And I'm like, which day of the week? But it's for creative people, especially, we need to be doing a lot of things, right?
Yeah. I think my brain is also like, my brain wants to do all of these things. So I just try to feed it where I can.
Well, I think that's really the right attitude because we need, especially now when a lot of people are working from home, and it's the perfect opportunity to jump into those projects that we want to do and never have time to do, but we still need a balance, right?
Yes.
Well, when we were talking about what topics to discuss, I know that the second I said balance, you were like, yes, let's talk balance. So,
yeah.
Why is balance so important? I mean, we know it's important because you need a well-rounded life, but what does that mean to you?
I think the topic spoke to me mostly because I am a newbie to a lot of the creative aspects of life. I had a traditional job for a long time, and now navigating 3 years, 5 years into this kind of like entrepreneur world, I know that I can only be successful if I have balance. And so when that topic was coming up, I was like, I can talk about that. I'm all about that because I try to make sure that even though I'm doing a lot of creative projects and writing and things like that, I balance it with the personal and the need to nap or rest or feed myself, exercise, those kind of things. So I think that's why I wanted to talk about balance.
And I think the way that I described it in chat last night was balance is being able to do the things you have to do and still have time for the things that you want to do, which includes self-care, which I think that's the self-care piece. I think among everything else is what we busy people, I think especially women, I'm going to be a little bit, we try to do everything.
Yep. And my first business was a semi self-care kind of company. So I started Naked Scrubs, or now it's Get Naked. It's a holistic kind of like natural bath and body product line, but it's all about self-care, right? It's important to take a moment to pamper yourself. It's important to take a moment to refuel. And so I've always kind of had that as a piece for me because that was like my first business, and I'm like promoting these things like you should buy these bath teas, but I need to also like live that kind of like self-help, self-care life.
So you have like a journey. So how did you get to doing all the different things that you're doing right now?
Um, so really know how I got here. I started I graduated college, started my journey into teaching and writing. I was a poet, I was teaching, and then in the afternoons or in the night or the weekend, I would go to like poetry slams and kind of just sit and absorb all of the speakers. Got a couple of poems published. It wasn't until I left, and then I started the natural body product line when I was still teaching. When I left the classroom, though, and started like consulting, I had so much more. I had more. I didn't have so much time. I had some time, some more time on my hands, and so I was able to fill it with more writing and really go down avenues that I really wanted to do, but I didn't necessarily have the time because I had a full-time job. So.
So,
Um,
so you were able to take the pockets of time, but really focus on the things that you wanted to like
yeah.
grow you as a human.
Yeah, and to feed me as a soul. I think a lot of the things that I gravitate to is just things that I want to see. I do screenwriting because I want to see Black stories about Black girls that look like me. I write books and picture books, and I'm working on a novel now because I want my niece, who's a young Black teen, to read books about people that look like her. And so I'm doing these things because I feel like I want to see these things, or I wanted to have seen these things when I was younger. And now I have the luxury of being able to do them.
Well, and this sounds like the perfect transition to talk about your work as diversity chair, the Women's National Book Association LA chapter.
That's
Well,
that's my
you,
new dance for diversity chair.
well, you really now we've got an event. I'll put the event link in the chat. It's beyond the diversity question. So, why? Because you came in like this force. Like this is
I'm pretty forceful.
yeah, which I absolutely adore about you. So, why don't you? Can you dive a little bit into what you hope this your diversity chairpersonship, what's the point, and what do you hope to accomplish with this? Because it sounds in line with your other goals.
Yes, I'm all about making sure that Black creators and Black writers have a seat at the table and are a part of these larger conversations, especially with Women's National Book Association, which is a huge organization. And so I kind of came into the organization just as a writer in the LA chapter, and Diana spoke to me about leading a Kidlit committee because a lot of the focus for WNBA has been around novels and biographies and memoirs and these kind of books. And she felt like there was a need for Kidlit. And I'm like, right up my alley, let's go. And then in further conversations, we were talking about the need for a voice, not to shame you guys, but all of the women on the board are white women.
Not anymore.
not not anymore, but also just having that need for a balance. And I think that the conversation just naturally went that way as we started to talk about the plans that we have for February and come in March and April and May and what's happening with the LA chapter. And I'm like, there's a big opportunity for us to really highlight Black authors. And I think that just kind of speaking up kind of like pushed me into the role, but I'm totally down with it. And I hope to see just more diverse panels, just a bigger emphasis on inclusion and intersectionality. I'm here to just kind of be like, hey, we're skewing a little white. Let's let's try to make sure that we have a balanced
I was thinking that too.
a balanced perspective on things. And so that's what I hope to kind of like bring to the organization.
Okay, and definitely you are a force, which is a good
Thank
thing.
you.
And I also know as a chapter that it's important for us, and Diana, our president, to make sure that all of our panels are diverse. But for Black History Month for February, you're just like spot on spotlighting.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I took the initiative and I organized this event with 5 other authors that are amazing. I have their names written down, but
The links in the comments.
and the links in the comments, please grab your seat because the first round of seats were already sold out. And so we open up, thank you, more seats. And so we're excited to have a bigger audience. But I wanted to make sure that we were focusing on Black History Month. We're focusing on Black writers. You know, it's important to, you know, we do have a whole national organization that, you know, we have book clubs and book talks and things like that. But for Black History Month, the focus should be on Black authors. And so I was happy to take the lead on organizing this panel, and I'm super excited because I'm a huge fan of everyone on the panel, and so I have to figure out how to contain myself. But we'll be talking about Black Lit, the future of Black Lit, and I think it's going to be good.
It's going to be amazing. But the other part of it that's so amazing is it really brings into balance isn't just about work life. Balance is your entire existence, what you have to offer the world, and just it's just such a great word, don't you think?
It is. Yeah, I think it's important to, in all things, that we were talking to my student the other day about moderation. And that's kind of, you know, we're not overdoing it in this regard. We're not skewing too much over there. It's important in all aspects of our life to be balanced. It's just so that we don't get burnt out, you know, which is a thing that happens for a lot of Black women and a lot of women in general, but also, you know, a lot of Black women in work environments. And so, you know, I'm a big proponent of making sure you take the space that you need and demand the space that you need and the time away from things if you need to. Yeah, so I can chat and chat.
No, I love what you just said. Demand the time and the space you need for yourself, because that's and this question comes up in chat a lot. You know, the no word. People, especially women, have trouble saying no because we think we can do everything, but we can't. Apparently, we're human. Did you know that?
Also, society tells us that we should be bending to other people and not pushing back on things. And so that's another aspect of being a woman. And yes, we, you know, no is a necessary vocabulary word that we should have, because sometimes at our own detriment, we do pile on a lot onto our shoulders and try to overdo it. And it's not great.
So what do you do? How do you decide what gets to be one of those plates that you're juggling?
For me, I try to just anytime there's a project or character that keeps popping up, I know that I need to write it. I know that I need to get it down. Or I need to put it in a poem, or it's not going to go away. And so for me, that's kind of how I tackle projects with the noisy classroom. That the image of a non-traditional classroom where there's a Black teacher that's kind of like Miss Frizzle has always been a part of my, a part of my on my brain. And so when I left the classroom and I was like, you know what, this is the first book I'm going to write, it came kind of natural. But, you know, in terms of taking on projects, I try to only take on projects that I really feel passionate about. And in that way, when I'm juggling all of these balls, even though it's a lot, it doesn't feel like a lot because I'm really into it. So.
Well, you should definitely. One of my core tenets is you should love what you're working on, because if you don't, no one else is going to.
Right.
So I love that you embrace that. So when you introduce something new in, does something go out? How do you work it?
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it's just another added piece. I started another company last year, and it's not taking the place of any other projects. It's just kind of something that organically kind of, or it's just a natural thing that I feel like is the next step for me. And so when projects come up that are like, okay, can you really carry this other plate? Again, it's not that huge of a leap because I'm enjoying it. I'm into it. And so, yeah, that makes sense.
It makes complete sense. So what are some of your personal balance practices?
So in terms of getting projects done. I try to schedule. Scheduling is a big thing of mine. If anybody wants a meeting, send me a Google invite. If you want an appointment, you're trying to book a meeting, send a schedule, invite. And so schedules really help me to chunk out a lot of the things and devote time to certain things, because I have chunks of my day that are I'm just writing, right? So that's not even an option to have a meeting. There's no option to um, do another project. Same for the weekends. On the weekends, I try to unplug from social media and work on other projects. So artwork, sketches, any kind of graphic things that I'm working on. And so I try to just say the weekends are for kind of my passion projects. And during the week, when I'm doing other things, I'm working on, content for this book that I'm writing on, or a new book that I'm writing, or I'm working with a teacher on her curriculum planning and things like that. But scheduling has been key in that. I even go down to the point of scheduling naps if I need. I need to schedule lunch. I try to schedule a joyous moment with myself. I try to get everything into my Google Calendar because it helps kind of like keep me on track. So that's one of
Okay, I love that you schedule lunch, because
I do.
you hear
Because
so
sometimes
many
I forget.
a lot of people forget, and I'm all about the calendar. Whenever I speak on productivity, I always say your calendar is your BFF. You make your list, you figure out what needs to go on that, and then you plug it into your calendar. So I'm totally with this. And the naps, I'm totally one with as well. But tell me about your scheduling of joyous moments, because I love that.
I took that from what's her name? She was the author. She's the author of I can't remember her name. She was the Teen Vogue editor, and I'm gonna butcher her name. Elaine. She talked about Black girl who was the editor at Teen Vogue recently. Talked about setting a time to have a joyous moment with yourself, and it could be 15 minutes of walking around. It could be 15 minutes to just leave from your computer. Whatever it is that's going to give you joy in that moment, schedule it. And so when that kind of like it's break time, do your thing. I'll maybe walk my dog around the block, drink some coffee, listen to a podcast, just kind of to take a step back from uh, the projects that I'm working on. And I think that that's kind of like my joy moments, because I'm not, my eyes are, I wear glasses, I have contacts on now, but my eyes get a break, my knees get a break, and all of me, for me, movement is joyous. And so I try to make sure that I'm doing that throughout the day.
Okay, so it's you're getting joy from whatever it is that is your me time.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So do you have like I feel like, and usually I do this later, but this is like the absolute perfect bonus goal, which is to schedule joyous moments with yourself and let us know how it goes. I like the idea of, I'm going to add on it, is to make a list of like 10 things that you can do when you have that break time. So then you don't even have to think about it. You just like, okay, what makes me happy? And you have your list and you have that scheduled time. And like, today I'm doing that thing. Or you can go like
Today,
this. And like,
I'm actually gonna fill my water jug and drink it, because you sit. For me, I'm like in the zone, and I forget to eat. I forget to, if it's not on the desk, and so sometimes it's just to rehydrate, right? Get a fruit snack. Do take a eye break. Do some breaths. Something like that. That's just gonna kind of push me into the next section of the day. It's usually like right around lunchtime that I try to make sure that I take a step back.
So, of your projects you're working on, what are you like the most excited about?
I'm always excited about any any books for kids, because I love kids. I'm always around kids, and so I'm working on animation script for the noisy classroom. So that's exciting, but that's going to be more of a visual animated series cartoon. But on print, I'm working on a YA book, a couple YA books, 2 books that I'm super excited about because, yeah, because it's for kids, and I love writing for kids. So, I can't really say too much about it, but those are the two projects that I'm really excited about.
Well, you could tell because you're just like, get all that giggle gene. Let's say, let's see. Yeah, no, I can
Yeah.
totally tell. But that should be the litmus test for any project that you're working on that's a passion project. If you have the Angela smile when you're talking about it,
Aw,
you're doing something right.
you're into it. And then sometimes I was up editing the podcast, but I was so into it. My husband was like, "You were in there for like hours." Like, and I'm like, "Oh, what?" I came out of the room and it was nighttime. And he's like, "Yeah." But I don't get tired. I mean, I do get tired, but for me, it was just kind of like I was all into it. So, it's
What?
easier to go to the grain when you're into something. Sorry, guys.
Oh, absolutely. No, when you lose track of time, you know you're working on the right thing,
Yeah.
which goes back to the whole needing to schedule lunch. Although I have, what I'll do is I rarely forget to eat, but like in the evening, if I'm working on something, I'll have absolutely no, because it's quiet, I have fewer interruptions,
Mhm.
and I'll be like, why am I hungry? Why am I tired? Oh, when did it become 1 in the morning? Now I try
Yep.
not to work late because I've been trying to train myself to go to sleep early and then wake up and get more things and shut down earlier. But every now and then you get that great idea that you have to start doing it, and then you're like, why am I tired? It's 1. I should probably go to sleep. Okay, well, right?
I'm the same way. For me, I have a notepad next to my bed. I'm a vivid dreamer, so I have these vivid dreams all the time. And every time I have one, sometimes it's spurred by like a character that I'm going to write. And so I have a notepad by my bed because I want to like make sure I get like the feeling in that moment when I wake up or before I go to bed. And so I just kind of like write it down, and then I'm like, I need to go to bed. Or when I wake up, I'll write it just so I can remember it. But
And so, why do you think so many people have trouble with balance?
I mean, it's the United States. No, I feel like we are in such a driven country that wants us to always go, 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 because that's our ideal of success, right? Like if you put in the hours, if you do the courses, if you continue, 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 you'll be successful. And so in that kind of like hamster wheel, there's no breaks for yourself, right? Like in order for me to continue to do these things, I have to be whole, I have to be rested, I have to be fed, I have to make sure that my mental health is there, whatever. But it's ingrained in American society not to do that, because if you are taking those moments for self, some people feel like it's not productivity, which it's not necessarily. And so I think as a society, we don't allow ourselves enough space to balance, rest, and rejuvenate. I follow the Nap Ministry, which is a huge platform for Black women, in the importance of taking those breaks and those naps, and getting restorative rest. And so it's a whole curriculum. If you go up there, they're really dope. But I think it's ingrained in us, and I can only speak from the point of being an American and also being an African American woman here in this country. And I know for sure for Black women, that is not a part of our patterns. We are always going, we're always the caretaker, breadwinner, head of the household, 3 jobs plus kids, or taking care of somebody else's kids. And so we are conditioned to kind of like always be on, hey, that's my mom.
I love it.
Hey, and so we are conditioned to do these things. But one thing she taught me from an early age is that you got to take care of yourself, and whatever it means, if it means taking a step back and trying to figure out why you're out of whack, why are you angry in this way, or why are you overreacting, like things, all of those things come out when you're not well balanced and not taking care of yourself. And so we have to really unlearn a lot of the things that have been kind of like instilled in us, especially Black women in this country.
The nap ministry. So I found the link. I think this is the right link for it. I'm just fascinated. I think it's important. What you're telling your story reminded me of a friend of mine who once tripped over her dog and broke her toe because she was doing too much.
Yeah.
And I think that's, if you are overextended, overexhausted, you're not at the top of your game, little things are going to cause big problems.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it even comes down to how effective you are in your own work. You know, if you're exhausted and this and that, mistakes slip through, right? Emails go out unchecked, projects go out unedited or uncopy edited, or whatever it is that you're working on. Whenever I'm talking about publishing, because that's where I'm at.
Right.
But you know, it can affect your daily day to day if you're not taking care of yourself and you're not balanced yourself. And so, um, you know, that's why I try to put it at the forefront of my life.
Well,
But
and one of the questions I asked last night was, is your life in balance? And it sounds like it's a yes.
not always, you know, like I'm still a work in progress, as my therapist likes to say. um so you know, I have a lot of moments where like my husband will say, you have this migraine because you didn't take care of yourself, and you were on, and you didn't have enough water, and you didn't, you know, you were on computers. And so like I do still have those moments where I'm like, no, just a couple more minutes and a couple more minutes, and I want to get these things done. But overall, I try to make sure that I am doing more productive things with my body and my time than harmful things. And so on a Monday, I'll say, yes, I'm totally balanced. And then on a Tuesday, I'll be like, honey, I'll see you Wednesday. Right. So, you know, I think when I talk to teachers, I always talk about balance in their curriculum. And so a Monday may look very different than Tuesday, but throughout the week, you want to make sure that you've kept these kind of like best practices in mind. And so day by day, maybe not, but overall, I think I'm getting there.
And we have another comment from your mom. It affects your entire life. Everything you do
She's at
affects.
every panel. I love her.
Well, it's nice to meet you. Is it Iba? Did I pronounce it right?
No, that's the school that she works at. She's also an educational advocate. Her name is Marilyn.
Oh, Marilyn, thank you
Mm-hmm.
for watching and commenting. I think it's awesome. And obviously, you know, you listen to her. So she's like cheering
A
on your
wise
comment.
woman.
So what advice do you have for people whose lives are totally out of whack? Said more nicely, what tips do you have for those who want or need better balance?
I think it depends. I think you need to figure out what is your thing. I think for me, balance may look different than how it might look for somebody else. So the first advice would be to find in the moments where you feel the most balanced, figure out why that is and continue to do more of that other thing, right?
Ooh,
Because we can't put things on hold, and we, you know, like that happens to me a lot of times. Like I'll sit and I'm like, man, I'm feeling really like relaxed and calm, and just kind of like my all my all my anxiety is kind of like at a standstill. And what's happening in those moments that you can replicate, right, over and over, or even during those 15 minutes of joy that you put for yourself. So if it's water, if it's drink, if it's sunbathing, stand by the window, get some sun on your face. Sunbathing is a big one for me. But you know, and my advice would be, find what's the thing that's going to bring you comfort, right? Because we can't pause work, and we can't pause bills. I mean, I wish we could. um,
nice, right?
so, you know, aside from that other thing, or those other things, what do you have control over? Do you have control over your time, your sleep, your exercise? Do you have control over passion projects? Do you have control over what is it that you have control over, that you can fit joy into those moments that you actually are controlling? um, and figure out a way to do it, even if it's just 15 minutes a day.
Well, I speak in 15-minute increments, so I am completely with you on this. So we want you first of all, to find your joyous moments.
Mhm.
Number one. Number
Note
two
them.
is when you feel balanced, look around and see what you're doing so you
Mhm.
feel it.
You can replicate it too later.
Okay, so when you feel balanced, see what you're doing. And then also, write it down.
Yep.
Because we have, I am not showing anybody my desk, but I have notes I always refer to, because this is my board where I have all my little notes and reminders. So when you're feeling balanced, say, oh, I feel really good. What am I doing? Write it down so you can remember it later.
Yep.
Okay. And then you said something else wonderful that I'm trying to bring up my recall on.
I don't know.
Okay. So find your joyous moments when you feel balanced, see what you're doing.
So when
Yeah.
you schedule the 15 minutes and try to replicate those joyous moments, even if it's just 15 minutes a day. I think it was something that I said.
Replicate your joyous moments in 15-minute increments. That works for me. Okay, see, this is why I say bonus goals to the end, because I always want to add more. But it's really, I think if we were wanted to put everything into a nice little package with a bow on it, it's you have control over your life, you have control over your balance, and be good to you. Do more of the things that give you energy and fuel you, and try and do less. Again, we don't always have control over everything in our lives. Bills need to be paid, work needs to be done, etc. But to the extent that you can, do fewer of the things that stress you out.
Yeah, and I think we, just having a meal prep was a thing, because cooking every night during the pandemic, and it's like dishes is, that's a small thing, that was giving me anxiety in the nighttime. So then we tried a couple of meal prep boxes, kind of like a meal prep, so that at dinner time, when we're really exhausted from all the day, we don't have to then worry about cleaning and cooking and this and that. And that was just a small thing, that we can actually control. And we kind of tried to, we did it for a couple of weeks, and it was great. But yeah, I just when you're stressed in that moment, just say, what is the thing that's really bugging me? Is it food that I have to cook and clean? Is it people? Is it what's the thing that's kind of it's always people for me, but what's the thing that in that moment that could maybe be reduced a little bit, just to kind of give you less, because we're dealing with a lot in this country, and Black women especially, and we just need to be able to find moments, less moments of stress and more moments of positivity and balance in our lives, just to kind of get us through.
That's absolutely 100%. Find the good things, because when you have kind of gather them up, find the good things and enjoy them. And if something is stressing you out, the meal example is great. If
It's a little thing.
look for the small things you can control and fix them.
Yeah. Or it's not fix them, or it's just make them less, right? I can't control the fact that I need to eat. I'm a human. I have to eat dinner. Even though I don't want to stand and cook, and most nights I hate the cleanup because we don't have a dishwasher. It's fine, but what I can do is maybe do a one pan meal, right? So that is just one pan, So whatever it is, that's just gonna maybe make it just a slight less. Those things are important, because all of those little things, and then at the end of the day or the end of the week, you're like, I had a good week. So that's my motto.
I think it's absolutely wonderful. Okay, so before we wrap up, please tell people where they can find you.
So you can find me on Twitter at From AJ with Love. That's also my personal Instagram handle. My author account is author Angela Shanté. And my website is angelashanté.com.
Okay, and I put your website, angelashanté.com, and your Twitter and Instagram from AJ with Love. And this has been wonderful, fun, cool, because this is how we learn. We have to look, kind of peek into other people's lives. So thank you for letting us peek into your life and see what works for you, and see how the lessons, the things that you do, figure out what works for you, what you can control, what you can adapt, what you can embrace for better balance. See what I did there?
I saw what you did.
Well, if you're watching, thank you so much for joining us today for Goal Chat Live. Again, I'm Debra Eckerling. I'm founder of the Deb Method, and you can find this recap and the recaps at thedebmethod.com/blog. So keep an eye out for that. And I'm at the Deb Method everywhere on social as well. And we have Goal Chat. We'll be back on Sunday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, and I will be back next Monday and every Monday at 4 p.m. for another fun and exciting Goal Chat Live. And if you want to learn more about my book, yourgoalguidebook.com, or the link is in the chat as well. Angela, this has been fun because I love this topic, especially because so many people need this topic. So any final words of wisdom?
Take it easy on yourself. We're all dealing with it. Don't be so hard on yourself. Sometimes we're our own worst critic. And so take a step back, see yourself as the world sees you, because there's a lot of people in your corners that are cheering for you, like my mom, who's writing messages, and lean on them sometimes, because I think that we're all doing fine. Just be easy on yourself.
I love it. Thank you so much, Angela, for joining me. And if you are watching and you've got some great tips for better balance, please leave them in the comments. But in the meantime, take it easy, be good to yourself, and remember, you can do it.
Bye.